Welcome to the Where Do Gays Retire podcast, where we help you in the LGBTQ plus community find a safe and affordable retirement place. Join Mark Goldstein as he interviews others who live in gay-friendly places around the globe. Learn about the climate, cost of living, healthcare, crime and safety, and more. Now, here's your host, Mark Goldstein.
Welcome to another episode of Where Do Gays Retire podcast. Today we have a special guest, Jose Rodriguez, who lives in Phoenix, Arizona, and we're going to learn a lot about Phoenix, Arizona today. I'll tell you a little bit about Phoenix. Number one, it's my hometown as well. That's where I live. Phoenix is the capital of the southwestern U.S. state of Arizona, known for its year-round sun and warm temperatures. It anchors a sprawling multi-city metropolitan area known as the Valley of the Sun. It's known for high-end spa resorts, Jack Nicklaus designed golf courses, and vibrant nightclubs. Other highlights include the Desert Botanical Gardens, displaying cacti and numerous native plants. So a little bit about the weather. The summer weather gets really warm. It's a dry heat though, and we can tell you a little bit about that a little bit later. And now I'll introduce our guest, Jose Rodriguez. So Jose is a lot of things. First and foremost, he's a leader. Having worked in nearly all levels of the financial industry, beginning in 2002, all the way to Old Republic Title Agency as a business development manager, Jose has been a servant leader to his customers and clients through the core values of customer service, leadership, and team building. Jose first came to the Valley in 2000. After attending Arizona Western College, he learned the value of customer service, first by becoming a bank teller, then climbing the ladder by making his mark in every area he touches. Jose has built an impressive career, even if you only base that on smiles on his clients' faces. He tells you, that moment when I find just the right solution for a client's needs and you see the weight lift from their face, that moment is gold for me. Leadership is in Jose's DNA. He generously gives his skills and times to community organizations like the Greater Phoenix Equality Chamber of Commerce, where he volunteers, Phoenix Pride, 1 in 10, Aunt Rita's, and other St. Vincent de Paul hunger causes, and many, many others. His active community involvement only underlines his belief in team building. He currently lives in Encanto, Palmcroft, with his partner of 16 years and his family of 3 Shih Tzus. And if you're ever in need of a restaurant recommendation, Jose is a total foodie and always ready to talk about some amazing new place he has just tried or his plans for an upcoming culinary adventure. So Jose, I welcome you to the podcast. I'm very excited to talk to you today and for you to tell everyone about the city of Phoenix, our hometown. So Jose, welcome, and tell us a little bit about your story on how you got here to Phoenix in the year 2000, where you came from, and how you wound up here downtown.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Mark, for having me talk about Phoenix. I'm very passionate about the city. Like you said, I moved here in 2000. I came from Yuma, Arizona. I was originally born in Mexico, but moved here to Yuma, I should say, when I was 2. I found my way back to Yuma later in my younger adult years when I was 17. Graduated, went to Arizona Western College, and I was like pretty much done with small towns. So my brother, who lived in Phoenix, Arizona, would tell me, this is a big city, you should move over here, there's a lot of opportunities. And that's what I did. Summer of 2000, moved up there with him. At that point, it was like the outskirts of Phoenix. It was a very north part of the valley. And for those of you that know a little bit about the freeways and all that great stuff about the valley, it was like I-17 and the 101, which was pretty much north of the valley. That was a new development back then in 2000. So my brother, my sister-in-law bought a new house there, and I moved there for 3 years. Ended up wanting to go back to what I felt was a little bit more of the gay area. And little did I know that was mostly Central Phoenix. So when I moved in Central Phoenix, that was around 2005. And so since then, I pretty much have stayed in my bubble, which is Central Phoenix.
I love the bubble. And I live in the bubble too. So, and we could explain what the bubble is because it's
Yes.
the bubble is the area Midtown Phoenix and downtown Phoenix, and it's kind of pretty much very LGBT friendly around
Correct.
here, very
Yes.
liberal. So we enjoy living here. Yeah, very much.
Not have to worry about things. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So tell us, Jose, geographically speaking, for the people that don't know where Phoenix is and basically its geography, where is it located within the state?
Well, Phoenix lies around the Salt River, which is south central part of the state. So we are not the furthest south, but we are pretty much centralized in Arizona. It's like 120 miles north of the Mexican border. So I'm technically we're what 1,100 feet above sea level.
Hmm.
So we're not the lowest in Arizona, but we're
Certainly not
right
the highest.
toward the middle. Yeah. And so yeah, we're pretty close to the New Mexico border, California border, Arizona. You can travel many places from here, but we'll touch on that a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, the city of Phoenix was built off of being so close to the Salt River, and that's how it started.
Okay. So tell us about the climate too.
Yeah, so the climate is always something that Phoenix is known for. I think our summers catch people's attention. Summers, it ranges anywhere from, and for me, summer, obviously, June to August. You have an average temperature of like 110. It varies a bit, but I think or a couple years ago, we hit 122. But, it's been a couple years and we haven't hit that in a long time. So the average is usually 110, 112 during the summer. And that's when we get a little bit more humidity. So the average during that time is around, close to 20% to 30%. And that's when we have our monsoons. That's the electric storms, all the haboos or whatever that you see in the news.
Oh, tell us about haboobs because people don't know what haboobs mean. They think
So
it's women's breasts.
No, it's not. So, it's actually just forget where the actual name came from, but the storms as they start coming and building up power, they throw in, and since we're full of sand, you get a huge wall that just comes towards the city, and it looks like it's going to be chaos, but it's just like maybe 5 minutes of dust
Hmm.
coming into the valley, so they just call it haboob.
Right, big dust storm.
Yeah, and it's our monsoon is kind of what it is, and so you can either just get a dirty car during the summertime. So I recommend a membership at a car wash. Or you get some rain with that. Lately, this past couple of weeks, we've been getting quite a bit of rain in certain parts of the valley. But Phoenix being such a huge metropolitan area, normally as the storms start coming into the valley, they kind of split up because we have such a heat wave or heat spot
Yeah, it's so
that
hot.
it's so hot. All the concrete, all the buildings that we have here, it almost slices some of these storms.
Right.
But either way, summer is a great time that you get those dust storms, those thunderstorms, some rain, and that wonderful humidity with 110. But our winters, I would say, our weather, I'm proud to say, gets really to the point that you can walk all day long and not have to wait until sun goes down.
It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, November, around like the end of October, November, December, January, February, March
Mhm.
are the prime times to come into the valley. That's when our temperatures average probably around, I want to say 75 high or 70 highs and 40s are lows.
Mhm.
Usually the hotels, resorts jack up their prices
Yep.
because that's the time you want to be in the valley.
Yeah, it's a beautiful time. And I know in the summer months, it's so funny. I come from the last place I lived before Phoenix was Florida. We'd get rain every day and pretty much like monsoons. So and in Florida, you get sick of the rain. But here, it's like, oh my
You want
God,
it.
it's raining. Thank God, the rain gods answered us. So
Exactly.
it's
Yeah,
really,
when it rains here, people get excited.
yeah, it's really pleasant. And yeah, like you said, the winter and the spring and fall months are absolutely gorgeous in these
Yeah,
parts.
I mean, definitely Phoenix is. We know it's the dry heat. If you love sun, you definitely would want to come here. I mean, I think the one during the summer, usually June is the day or the month that has the longest amount of hours with sun,
Light,
which
yeah.
is an average of 13.5 hours or something like that a day with direct sun.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you love sun, you know where to come.
Oh yeah, and yeah, absolutely. It's a change. It's certainly a place that you won't get depressed because it's always
No.
sunny out, and it's always yeah, it's always really nice. So in the summer, hot summer months, are there any close places by that are quick getaways that you can cool off?
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about Phoenix being 1,000 above sea level. If you go maybe 2 hours north of the Valley, Phoenix area, you run into such a huge, diverse mountains. It goes from like cactuses to pine trees. That's pretty much all of North Phoenix, Prescott, Payson, Show Low, Flagstaff, all those places. There's a huge difference in temperature during the summer. So if you want to keep cool, everyone from the valley heads up north, and it's usually around 20% or 20 degrees less
Yeah,
than what it is in the valley.
yeah,
Um,
definitely. Sometimes
so just
even
be
like
prepared
20
with
to
all the
30.
traffic.
Yeah, because everybody's heading up there
Yeah.
in the summer
And even
months.
there's a place down south that's pretty, temperature wise, it's pretty good too. And that's Jerome and Bisbee, Tucson. They normally don't get as hot as the valley.
Yeah, I was just in Bisbee for Bisbee
Yeah.
Pride a couple months ago.
Yes. And I mean, our state is normally known as a red state, but I see it more as a purple state. And Jerome, Bisbee, Flagstaff, Tucson, those are very,
Liberal,
I would say liberal,
blue.
really accept us. Yeah.
Yeah, yep, I agree. Definitely agree. So, is living in an LGBT community important to you? And if so, did you choose to live in one? And now we could explain a little bit about the bubble.
Yeah. So I was saying I moved from North Phoenix down to the Central Phoenix area. One of the reasons why is when I was in my early 20s, I met some friends and we would always just hang out in Central Phoenix. And this was when I turned 21, so it was bars were new to me, but everything was around Central Phoenix. And so I realized maybe that's where I want to move. And several years after I moved, I noticed a lot more acceptance in the central part of the valley. And as years have passed by, it's still the case. The city of Phoenix has done a great job about being diverse, hearing the feedback of our LGBTQ community. They worked with several organizations to paint the rainbow into two gay areas in the valley. That's one thing about us in the valley. We don't have a centralized gay district of sorts, which is good and it's kind of bad, I guess. It's good in the way that our community is so accepting that we have like two locations, which is very mixture of allies and our community. That's the Melrose area,
Hmm.
and that goes all the way from Indian School on 7th Avenue, pretty much to Camelback. And then you have the Roosevelt Row area, which is more downtown-ish, and that one as well. It's like from 7th Avenue on Roosevelt all the way to 7th Street. And it's very artsy, very accepting, mixture of gay owners with their businesses to people that are obviously accepting and providing us services without any judgment.
Yeah, they're not like quote unquote the neighborhoods, but they are in a way
Yeah,
because
I think it's the Phoenix version of neighborhoods
yeah,
if we were
uh,
ever to get one. In the city of Phoenix, because I've worked with the chamber, they've asked like, hey, do you guys, is there a gay district that you guys want to kind of amplify? And our message is always Melrose will probably be the one,
yeah,
but we don't want to leave out Roosevelt Row because they've done such a good job in accepting us and being part of the community. So at the end of the day, we usually, when they want our feedback, it's like it's those two areas.
yeah. I would
So
agree. I would definitely agree. Yeah, it's a great place to live. In fact, so we talked about the neighborhood. How about gay bars? Does Phoenix have gay bars? Do you visit them
yes,
or?
there's quite a few gay bars. Some of them have closed recently, just like I'm sure most larger cities due to COVID.
Mhm.
But we have like around 10 to 12 gay bars.
That's a lot.
We have one. Yeah, and I look at other places. It just depends where you're at. In us, it's again mixture of two different areas. So we have gay bars in Melrose, in Roosevelt, and then outside of that little area as well. But yes, we have 10 to 12 and one lesbian bar. It's the only lesbian bar in the valley, and I know they've been working on documenting the fact that there's not that many gay bars or lesbian bars around nationally.
Yeah, there isn't.
So at least we have Boycott. That's one of the ones here, and it's off of Melrose. But there's a lot of different, aside from gay bars, there's so many gay-owned businesses. When I was part of the board of the Greater Equality Chamber of Commerce, we were trying to ask business owners not only to become members, but we wanted to emphasize that, hey, you're gay owned, gay operated, you're not just an ally. The reason we were doing that, and the reason I felt that passionate about it, was because any corporation could say, yes, put a rainbow sticker.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean my money or my efforts are being listened to the business owner of that business.
Correct.
So we wanted to emphasize by indicating that this is 100% gay owned or whatever the case is. So for those like myself that have the money that want to go out to eat or whatever, we know where to allocate our money and support that organization. So there's so many businesses, not only in the Central Phoenix area, but out in the East Valley, which is growing now, which is the Gilbert Chandler area, that is starting to see a lot more LGBT business owners opening up shops over there.
Oh, that's great to hear. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, no one's really documenting, like, is this gay business? And it could be that the owner doesn't want to disclose that, but the majority that I've been talking to, and I try to follow all of them on Instagram, because that's really the only way I'm going to be able to have some kind of information. But yeah, I mean, they're still growing, and Phoenix overall is known as a city for entrepreneurs. There's so many resources, so many nonprofits that cater to those people that want to start their business.
Yeah,
so I went off on the business side, but I think it's important that people know that not only is Phoenix welcoming to entrepreneurs, but we have a lot of LGBT business owners here in the valley.
Yeah, that's very important. It's a great point that you bring up. It's certainly, Phoenix is a great place just to live and to work. There's so many different opportunities here. That's why we get an influx of people from everywhere.
Yeah, I got 2 years ago, we got an interview the chamber did for one of the radio stations here, and they were like, hey, there was an article that came out that a swarm of LGBT people are moving into the valley. Why is that? And it was a combination of cost of living. It was 2 years ago, so cost of living was a lot cheaper than what it is now. We'll go into that a little bit more. But that was one of the drivers, was like, we're more purple, more accepting. A lot of these people moving in are retirees of sorts.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of combination and benefits for them to move into the valley.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I moved here 4 years ago, and I put everything into consideration, and being in an urban atmosphere like this with nice climate and everything at your footsteps is just perfect. So, absolutely. So, is it easy or is it difficult to make friends here in Phoenix? Like, if somebody were coming from the outside, moving in, how would they get acquainted with the gay community?
That is kind of a difficult question and answer. Difficult in the manner that our community, just like our rainbow flag, is so diverse. And Mark, you probably know this. People have a different need or want, or they're sophisticated in certain ways. I'm in charge. When I said initially I volunteer for the chamber, one of my main responsibilities is to answer the main line to the chamber, and I literally get calls every day. Where can I meet people? I am a lesbian that just got divorced. I want to meet someone. I'm a trans. I want to meet like-minded people.
So important.
So I get a lot of different people, that young individuals. They're like, I'm officially out. I want to hang out with people. So I'm saying all that because there is not one centralized location that I can send them to. So I try to ask more questions like, are you into sports? Because there's so many LGBT sports here in the valley. softball, you name it, we have it here.
Right.
And the one thing about the Phoenix Pride organization, another nonprofit, they have such a detailed calendar on their website of resources that it has like all these different organizations that's kind of where I direct some individuals so they can pick and choose what they want. So my answer, I guess, is going to be it definitely is something that you have to research. I think on Facebook alone, they have so many groups.
There are groups, including ones I opened.
Yes, the ones you've opened, definitely. There's another group that meets every Friday, and they go to a different bar.
Yeah.
Every Friday. That group is usually, I would say, the age group is a little bit older.
Like mine.
And yeah, I mean, I've gone to it several times. They are so laid back.
Yep.
There's other people that want the flash, the lights, and
yeah,
all that stuff. And those, I would say, start at the bars. If you don't want bars, I think there's other organizations like through churches, because there's a lot of churches in the Valley and Central Phoenix that are accepting of us. Because not everyone in our community likes to drink or recover an addict. And so there's a lot of different places you can do research on. It's just what you
want to do. Like if you like mountain climbing, you can probably meet people there that are LGBTQ community as well.
Yeah. And the chamber does host a social event once a month. It's like the third Thursday of every month, and they try to pick a different venue, a local restaurant to a bar, so people have choices. And the whole point is to bring our business owners to potential new people in the Valley and make connections that way.
I'd really like to see more lesbians and more women, because I only see guys socializing with guys, and I think there's a void there. And I think that would be something that other people would enjoy, other LGBTQ people in the community, for women to get together with women too.
Yeah, I mean, and that's something, a potential like net mixer of sorts, even if it's not necessarily for business, it could be networking within our community. And yeah, I agree 100%. Normally before COVID, I was making a lot of parties at my house, and you would have a diverse group of people.
Yeah.
Because I believe connecting with everyone in our community and allies to understand we can all mingle together. For me, that's huge. And I'm proud to say my group of friends are pretty much that way. So.
Yeah, mine too. But maybe we will organize something.
Yeah.
And I know, even those Friday night get-togethers, maybe it could be a little bit more inclusive as well. Let's see if we can get some.
Yes, there are certain groups that are just like for guys only.
Right.
And I think there needs to be a similar group, but just open to everyone.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Tell us about the local economy. I know it's changed pretty drastically. It has in the whole entire United States and all over the world, really, recently in the past few months. It's not just the United States. But tell us about the local economy. Can you give us examples of what somebody could expect in paying monthly rent versus maybe purchasing a house or a condo, electric bills, water bills, gas, and taxes?
Well, just to give everyone an idea, in the last 2 years, property values, 2020, they went up 30%. No, sorry, last year, 2021, 30%. This year, they're expecting it to be just around 15% increase in value, which is going lower, and that's a good sign. I mean, we're slowing down a bit. But the fact that we have around 280 people still moving into the Valley, and that isn't going to stop because of that.
Is that per month?
Per month, yeah.
Wow.
280 per day.
Per day?
That's per day. And that's also taking into account people leaving the Valley.
Right.
So we have, I think, the top 5 places where people are moving in. It changes very little by little, but it's usually Seattle, several places from California, New Jersey, Chicago. Those are the stream of migrations that we're getting into the Valley. And because of that, rent has gone up as well. It used to be Phoenix was very affordable, and we are compared to some of the larger cities. Rent right now for 1 bedroom is $1,200 a month. For a 2 bedroom, you're looking at $1,400. So if you had a mortgage payment, you're looking at 1,500, roughly around that. So the thing is, those two have been going up a lot in the last couple of years, but it seems like it's hit a plateau. I work as part of Old Republic Title. We work in real estate, so I get to know what's going on out there, and we've noticed that there's been kind of a cap now. Now it hasn't dropped, but it's been staying
It's
at
still,
that level. Yeah.
what would you what would you say is the average price for a home?
The average Phoenix being so, and this is Metro Phoenix, which includes all those other
Right.
cities around us, you're looking at like 350,000
Okay.
for a home. As we know, Central Phoenix, you probably won't be able to find a home for 350,000.
No.
Just like other larger cities, the closer you are to downtown, the more expensive it's going to be.
I don't think you can find something for less than 600,000.
It depends, but if you have a good real estate agent, they can do research for you.
This is true.
And then so some of these things that I was able to research, transportation is another huge thing. The Valley does not have a transit system like most of the larger cities.
Right.
We don't have a subway. We do have a light rail. The light rail was opened up, I want to say maybe less than 10 years ago. And that was a success for the city. It just mostly goes through downtown, off to some of these other cities
Tempe
around us.
and Mesa.
Tempe, yeah. And they're still working on it, but you will definitely need a car unless you live near work and your apartment. And the transportation cost for an annual basis is around $4,900 a month, a year. That's for the gas and anything involved in transportation. Cost of food for a single person, you're looking at $3,700, $3,800, and then a night out, I even
Could get
researched that,
pricey.
it's like $60 for two people. That's for like a 3-course meal type of thing. Maybe no alcohol.
Okay. I'm glad you said no alcohol, because last night I
No
think
alcohol,
it was 160 with alcohol.
Yeah, added alcohol is going to add up a little bit. So, yeah, $60 for a nice meal. Healthcare costs, it's roughly running around $2,800. Utility bills, it's $211. And they had a quote on there: add $60 to $70 for AC usage. So, depending the time of the year.
Yeah, and to me that's the winter. Yeah.
Yeah, I live in an older home, so we use gas for that. But there's other places that just have the electric.
Well, for an example, I live in a 1,700 square foot condo, and just got a new air conditioner last year. So I would say in the winter, spring, when we could shut it off totally, I get $70 bills in the months of the winter and the spring, maybe the fall. But in the summer, when it's really hot, it could go up to 220, 240. My old air conditioner, I even had a 300 and something $10 air conditioning bill for 1 month, which was pretty.
And I didn't touch on this, but a lot of people in our community tend to go on vacation during summertime.
Yeah.
They head out to cooler places. I know myself, I usually go on 4 quick getaways during the summertime. But I like it here during winter, so hardly any traveling then. But yes, so $211 is the utility bills average, and then again, 60 to 70 addition use of AC.
So for a city this size, there's still reasonable prices.
Yeah, we're still considered affordable. We're still up there. Yes, things have gone up, rent has gone up, but I think the fact that it takes roughly around, I think they said around 70,000 annually income to live comfortably in the Valley.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it has increased in value. Real estate in itself over the past 2 years, I know purchasing this condo has increased in value. So I'm pretty happy about that. Okay. So tell us about the arts and culture scene here. Living in the city, do you have access to movies, theater, arts? What's here for people?
Yes, there is actually quite a bit. We are full of different type of entertainment. We have the Phoenix Art Museum, the Phoenix Art Museum. We have I'm trying to remember obviously the Sports Burger Theater Center, the Symphony Hall. That's what I was trying to remember. All those are around the Central Phoenix area. But each city has been expanding their arts. A lot of people go to Tempe for Damage.
Right.
They do a lot of first-class shows over there. Mesa is another one that has invested heavily in their arts as well. Our sports, the Cardinals have done a very good job in the last 3 to 4 years. The Phoenix Suns are also well known throughout the country. And I just pulled some information. It's like an average price for tickets, $291 for Phoenix Suns. We have Phoenix Mercury, our women's team, and they usually make it to the top as well. You can get tickets for $18 for them. Arizona Diamondbacks, $42. Arizona Cardinals, $85. And we also have the Coyotes around $55. So definitely the city has a huge art scene in the valley, not only in Central Phoenix, but the surrounding cities.
We also have a big concert venue also at the Talking Stick. So I've seen a few concerts around there too, and I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I'm back in New York.
Yeah, we have the Talking Stick, and then we have Glendale, which is next to the Cardinal Stadium. That's another one that hosts 15,000 people in that area.
Yeah. I've been there too. They're both great venues. Yes.
And we usually have artists that start their tours in the valley because of the way the valley is located, and they can run up to California and do their tour. But the valley has been known for a lot of tours to start here.
That makes sense because, again, just for our audience that really doesn't know much of the valley and Phoenix itself, metro area, is spread out. It's spread out far. It's like the 5th largest city, but there's all these little cities within the valley. So there's Mesa, there's Tempe, so there's all these different, Scottsdale, everything is in the valley, and each city also has pretty much their own thing as well. Like here in Central Phoenix, I can walk down the block and go to the Phoenix Theater and see a great show. I could walk to the Heard Museum right across the street. I can walk down to the Phoenix Art Museum. Everything is really centrally located. And if I wanted to go downtown or even to Tempe, to the Gamage, I can get there. I can just hop on the light rail, which is across the street from my condo, and I can just hop on the light rail down there. So it's convenient.
It's very convenient. And then something we didn't touch on about the gay businesses and the gay districts, Central Phoenix prides itself. And this goes back to me being a foodie. There's a lot of restaurants that are owned by mom and pops that, people that just are good chefs. And there's so many diverse little restaurants around the valley, specifically in Central Phoenix. I think we're going to talk about events and questions, but there's an annual thing that Local First Arizona does, and it's a devour. It's where they invite over 150, maybe 200 chefs around the valley, from resorts to restaurants, and it's one of the best festivals that I would recommend. It's like $100 a ticket, or it was the last time I went, but you get to taste all the wonderful food that the chefs around here
hungry.
Provide. Yes, I'm hungry myself.
When is that? Do you know what time of year that usually happens?
It's around February.
February, okay. So we have some time.
We have some time, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm so proud that the city embraces people opening up their restaurants. It's not just the chain restaurants. You see some of that, but it's further from our bubble that it would take you a while to get to some of these chain restaurants.
Yeah, it seems like all the suburbs have the chains, and that's pretty much everywhere in Florida where I came from. That's pretty much the case. But around Central Phoenix, there's a lot of mom and pop owned places that are really, really good. In fact, I just had brunch at the Fez, so that's a perfect example of a neighborhood restaurant in the so-called central area bubble.
Central Phoenix. Yeah, and they're gay owned as well. So
Yes. Yeah, so it's great food too. Love it, love it, love it. All right. So, and you are a foodie. So I know that.
oh, did that fit into the
Yeah,
next
I
question?
know that you have to let me know of any good restaurants too that you've been to that I haven't.
Yes, lately there's been so many opening up. Phoenix has been going through an explosion of towers being built, residential
Oh
towers,
yeah.
and a lot of them are having restaurants opening up down below. Some of them are a little higher end, and others are small places that I would recommend someone with a budget.
Yep. Yeah, there's even one down in my building that just recently opened. So the community is starting to come alive and vibrant at night too with restaurants and stuff. It's really exciting.
Yes. And you know what? And if I can do a plug for Visit Phoenix, they do such a great job to stay on top of what's going on in the valley, what's opening up, and they also cater a lot to our community. They do a really good job of staying on top of what's going on to support the LGBT.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. They have a website, right?
Yes, visit
Visit
phoenix.com.
Phoenix,
Mm-hmm.
visitphoenix.com. Good to know. Very good to know. So tell us about, we talked a little bit about the transportation, the light rail. You need a car. Is there a lot? I think tell us about the traffic. That could be
So one thing about city, the grid, everything goes north and south, east and
it's
west.
pretty
There's no
easy.
weird. Yes, pretty easy. I mean, people still get lost, but it's pretty easy. And we don't really have the traffic. It's mostly in Central Phoenix, but they're eliminating a lot of that lately. There's enough roads out there for cars to move around. Traffic, yes, we have it. Nothing like California, nothing like Seattle. I was just there. The city is paying attention to the growth, and they're
And
adding
the
and adding
infrastructure.
to the infrastructure. And that's one thing that I like Arizona, that they invest
Yes.
future growth. And so traffic is bad for our residents that are used to traveling to one place to another in minutes. Now it's probably taking them 10 versus the 5 minutes, but it's not as bad. And I think there was an adjustment during COVID. A lot of people kind of stayed at home. So you do have that hybrid schedule that we've been talking about a lot lately, and that is people stay at home, and then usually Fridays, that's when it gets pretty packed when everyone's leaving the valley.
So would you recommend, like if somebody would to get a job in one part of Phoenix, would you recommend that they live close by instead of
So
traveling?
if they don't mind 45 minutes of traffic from going from the East Valley to say Central Phoenix, the one I think congestion that we have in the valley is when someone comes from the East Valley to the west, they usually have to go through Central Phoenix, and
Mhm.
that's our tunnel. It's like a small tunnel, but it does get congested. So that's usually, if you have to do the drive, I would recommend trying to stay away from that tunnel. So either drive from the east around North Valley through the 101s, 202s, those go outline. You don't have to deal with the tunnel. But the cost of living is pretty much the same no matter where you go. So if you're like me and you don't want to be stressed before you go into work, then try to
Yeah,
pick somewhere nearby where you're going to work and live.
that's great advice. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Coming from also New York City and having to commute an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes each way, it takes a lot out of you and gets you stressed before you and have to go to work. So, yeah, it's
Exactly.
kind of good to kind of get the lay of the land. If you are working in Central Phoenix, maybe you want to live closer by to Central Phoenix and not somewhere way out in the West Valley or way out in the East Valley.
East Valley. Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
And I did want to touch on the airport.
Oh, yeah.
Travel quite a bit in different places. Airport's usually a disaster. I could say 100% our airport is so easy to maneuver
It
in and
is.
out. in like seconds.
And it's like they redid the whole thing. It's like beautiful.
Yes,
airport.
they've added more terminals. It's a big circle that you end up just doing, but it's easy in, easy out. Cell towers are located nearby. Light rail goes through that, so you don't even need to take an Uber if you don't want to.
Yeah, we don't drive. We don't do it. We hop on the light rail with our suitcase. We're out at the airport, and then the tram picks us up from the airport, takes us to the terminal. Perfect.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons Phoenix Airport Sky Harbor is named one of the friendliest airports in the nation.
For sure. Yeah, it's a great point. Because my rule is, if I'm going to live anywhere, I need to live within 45 minutes to an hour, maybe the most, to an airport.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's my rule. Here in Central Phoenix, I could say, what is it? It's about 20 minutes to a half an hour
at the most
on the light rail.
Light rail, yeah.
On the light rail. So that's what stops.
Yeah.
So
that's not bad.
No, not bad at all. Hey, I'll take it over anything. I remember taking taxi cabs from my house to JFK or LaGuardia in New York, and that took an hour at least. So, yep. So tell us about the crime. What's the crime like in Phoenix?
So I was looking that up, and I myself have heard quite a bit about crime being a little bit higher than normal nationally. I know the Phoenix Police Department has been reinvesting, the city of Phoenix has been reinvesting a lot more with the Phoenix police. But, we're a lot lower than what Dallas is. We're a lot lower than Houston crime is. But nationally, we are a little higher. Personally, I think since I moved to the downtownish area, currently where I live at in my house, we maybe had 2 incidents, not directly. It was just someone jumping the fences. They probably count that as a crime because they catch the guy and whatever. But I have not had anything else happen to me, knock on wood. I take my dogs out. Usually during winter, I take them out for walks around my neighborhood without an issue. Matt and I, usually my partner, we take our bikes from our house to downtown, and we haven't had any issues. So yes, our crime rate is high, but we're so sprawled out that depending where you're at in the valley, you might see a little bit more than what I experience. So,
yeah, I think we're where we are in our little bubble. I mean, things happen, but it's pretty safe considering, because I take my dogs out at night too, and I actually take them out before 5 o'clock in the morning. So, and it's dark out, and I don't have a problem. I walk through you would never know that we live in an urban area in Central Phoenix, because I go one way and I'm in a historic district with beautiful homes, and that's where I walk the doggies. And there's really generally no problems. There's a little homeless problem, but other than that, I would say it's pretty safe.
And I think homeless population across the nation, that has been going up like crazy. I think Phoenix has been increasing as well. I was looking at the numbers, and since January, there's like 9,000 homeless people. Out of those 9,000, 3,000 of them are in the Phoenix area, and about 56% of them live on the street, and the rest are different places, shelters. And there was money given to the city from the COVID relief plan, and they've been using a lot of it to create locations for homeless people. And there's so many nonprofits that have been involved in that, because and the reason I kind of am a little bit aware of this, I'm passionate about like organizations that help the less fortunate. And
1 in 10 does that.
1 in 10, and even a little side story, my brother was homeless towards the end of his life in San Francisco. So it caught my attention that who are homeless, why are they homeless, what's going on with them, and right now you're seeing just people can't afford rent in certain places. And some of it has to do with mental issues. Some of it has to do with drug abuse issues. So it's just trying to bring all these people together and understand and get them out of that habit of wanting to live in the street. Because that was another thing they would tell me, is like they get accustomed to living in the street. They are like, you know what? I don't have to pay rent. I don't have to do this. I don't have to listen to anyone. And so they find their ways, and they just get stuck in that.
Yeah.
But the city of Phoenix is investing heavily in that. They're trying to be a little bit more proactive than some of the other larger cities. I've gone to Seattle. I see them
Oh
everywhere.
yeah, they're intense.
Denver, yeah. So that's a problem. But I myself, I see homeless and I expect homeless in the city. But knock on wood, they're not camped out everywhere in Central Phoenix. And the police does a really good job of moving them around or telling them to move. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen them. They sometimes you see them on the light rail, and they do their best. The security does their best to get them off there too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's great that they're doing something proactively to help the homeless. I agree. And the 1 in 10 was that I mentioned. They're an organization that helps youth
Correct.
with homelessness, right?
Yes, so 1 in 10 does a lot with the youth, getting them to stay in education and giving them opportunities. There's other nonprofits that help homeless individuals as well, but 1 in 10 is one of the largest ones that cater to the LGBT community. They have annual events. So going back to your thing about like what can people do? There's so many galas, things that you can buy tickets to attend and not only have fun, but you're supporting a good cause.
Yeah.
And 1 in 10 I know has like 3 major events throughout the year that they host.
Yeah, it's good to know. Good stuff. So tell us about healthcare. Are there enough, if someone was to move here, are there enough doctors to serve the community? Does it take a long time to see a doctor? What are the hospitals like?
So there's a total of 56 hospitals in the valley.
56.
13 of
Wow.
56, yeah. 13 of those are ranked best in the USA. I know we live by one of them, 2 of them actually, Banner and St. Joe's.
Yeah.
So we're fortunate to have 2 hospitals that are, well, good rated near us. But nationally, I think for the size of the city, we could do better. And I think we just had Creighton University move into the valley.
Yeah.
They just built a huge nursing tower. U of A, you have been working together to incorporate more medical schools and working together to just bring more knowledge and students to graduate here and stay here. So although we're probably not the best right now in healthcare, I do believe that's going to change in the next couple of years. But we do currently have quite a few facilities. I know my doctor retired like 5 years ago. I was so excited to finally find a gay doctor, and he decided to retire. But there's been a couple more moving into the valley that I'm fortunate to now have. So.
Yeah, I have my GP he's very gay friendly.
Yeah.
My husband and I go to him, and we've recommended people, our friends, and they all love him. So,
I mean, it's huge having someone that you can actually want to talk to, right? And the healthcare costs, I think I mentioned this earlier, but it's like $2,700 a month. Obviously, that depends who your health insurance provider is and all that, but it's not as bad as other places.
correct. Yeah. So, okay. So, and I've experienced pretty good results in the healthcare field. I've been to hospitals, doctors, and really have never had a problem in the Phoenix area.
And I do know that we do have quite a few Canadians that travel to the valley during winter, and a lot of snowbirds.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them end up going to the border for dental work and other type of things. So again, we're not too far from the border. So that's another thing you could head down there.
Yeah, and that reminds me. So the way we're located, the valley and Phoenix is located, we're pretty close to everything. So like you said, we're close to the border. So a couple of hour drive, we can be in Mexico, on the beach in Mexico. We can travel to Las Vegas by car in a day. It's really quick trip. Where else could we go? We can go north to Flagstaff and get cooled off. We can go to San Diego, LA. There's all these different places that Palm Springs is another one.
Yes.
Yeah, and they're all a drive away, and it really doesn't take that long. 4 hours?
No, it's not. It doesn't. And New Mexico is not too far. I know that's usually not.
Right, Albuquerque.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep,
Yeah.
I've been there too. So that's a great place to kind of launch to different places to visit by car. Excellent. All right. So Do you wish that you had something in Phoenix that you might have had something elsewhere? Do you miss something like?
That is so hard to answer just because Phoenix itself has so much to offer. We don't have the ocean nearby, obviously, right? We don't have the forests within walking distance. So I would say I mean, and you're talking to someone that's very simple. I think we have everything we need to for me to be content with the city. I would say if I didn't feel comfortable being who I was, Mexican, gay, in Central Phoenix, and I had to move to the East Valley, West Valley, North, or other parts of the valley where I don't feel too comfortable, then I would say there needed to be more of a gay community presence and people voting. But we have all those things. We have the luxury of a great airport. We're a hub, so we usually can head out to these places, and it doesn't cost a fortune. So I kept on like thinking and thinking, what could I say? And I mean, I could just grasp for something, saying I wish we had the ocean nearby, the forest nearby.
That's one. And you know what? Being a former New Yorker, there's nothing like a New York bagel. So I wish somebody comes from New York and makes a bagel from New York with a little smear of cream cheese, and I'm good.
There you go. Maybe someone's listening out there. That could be this opportunity.
Yeah.
You would have Mark there every day.
You would. But yeah, as far as everything else that a big city, Phoenix pretty much has everything that you could ever want that a city, an urban area has. I mean, you can get pretty much anything, and the Mexican food is delicious.
And there's being Mexican myself, I'm seeing all these Mexican restaurants. There's a little bit of taste from all these places. They're all good, and I usually put out there like my recommendations for Mexican restaurants, whatever. But yeah, there's so much that we have in the valley, and I think if anyone has the opportunity of coming to the valley and wanting to experience as much as they can, they should come during the winter and during the summertime.
Yeah.
Make 2 trips. During summer, usually the hotels and everything are a lot cheaper. They even do promotions because normally everyone wants to get out.
Yeah.
But that would be a great opportunity for you to grab a feel of like how the valley. Yeah.
Experience what it's really like in the summer.
Yeah.
And in the winter. Yeah.
Yeah. In our non-snowy winters, you can experience all the festivals and everything we have going on.
Yeah, it's great.
Metro Phoenix.
It's so beautiful. The feeling I go out on my terrace. We could eat dinner outside in January. It's just it's awesome. It's just really awesome. Would you say there were any cons to living here?
I think right now the one that came to my mind is affordability. So I think everyone thinks just because you're gay, you're retired, you have it made.
Right.
Well, like that's not always the case for everyone.
Right.
But the good thing is, although I say affordability is going up or it's going down, you still can get quite a bit for what you would normally get in other larger cities. So I think keeping that in mind and knowing what part of the valley you want to move to, you can still have an affordable living here. And yeah, I mean, I wish we didn't depend on the cars so much, but the smog that we get because of everyone in the valley comes and goes, but that would probably be the other thing. So.
Yeah, it would be great if somehow we expanded transportation, like the light rail wasn't too light. if they made more of the light rail go to different parts of the town and parts of different parts of the valley, that would be good. Even if it was like a subway type thing. I don't know if they'll ever do that.
Well, I do know that the light rail was a huge test for the valley because everyone loved their cars here, and the light rail is being used. The city is starting to expand. The one thing with us, it's like in order for you to move to other parts, you have to work with other cities, and there's other cities that are still not in line with the light rail. So until then, you'll just have the central base growing a little bit more out. But I think in the future, you'll see more of that grow.
Yeah, I do too. All right. In wrapping up, what would you say to to our audience if they're thinking about relocating to Phoenix?
I think I mentioned it just a little while ago, and that is for you to come out and check out our festivals during as soon as October. We have this year, our Pride, Phoenix Pride is October 16th, 17th. That's when the weather starts changing up a bit. Still have 90s, but
you feel that
evenings are starting to cool down.
That relief. That
relief is
you get that aha moment.
So not only Phoenix Pride, but there's so many different festivals.
Rainbow.
Yeah, there's Rainbows. That's in April. There's so much for you to check out, and I would recommend, like I said, sometime before the holidays, right after the holidays, come out, check out Phoenix. I know we have the Super Bowl this year, or this coming year in 2023. Downtown Phoenix is going to have a huge outdoor party for the Super Bowl.
Wow.
I attended the last Super Bowl that they had here in the Valley when we didn't really have much in downtown. So this year it's going to be
it's crazy.
2023 will be interesting to see what they're going to do. So if anything, it's a free event everyone can go to, and that's going to be, they're expecting 150,000 people to be in the Valley.
Wow.
Super Bowl week. Yeah.
I'll see you down there.
Yes. Yeah, we have to get together. It's been a while.
Absolutely. I'm ready whenever you are.
Thank you, Mark. This was fun. Hopefully you can hear it that I'm passionate about Phoenix. I'm a Phoenician. Although I wasn't born here, I am officially.
Yes, you are.
I am here.
Yep, and I want to thank you. Thank you for taking the time to speak to our audience. I think you're great, and hopefully we'll talk very soon. Thank you, Jose.
There you go. All right. Thank you. Have a good one.
You too.
Thank you for listening to the Where Do Gays Retire podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to our podcast and consider making a donation by clicking the coffee cup on any page at www.wheredogaysretire.com. Each cup of coffee that you buy costs $5 and goes towards helping us continue the podcast. Thank you for your continued support.